Sisters in a Wedding is a comedy film directed by Kathy Garcia Molina, released in 2013. At first glance, it simply appears to be a feel-good entertainment movie characteristic of the comedy genre in mainstream Philippine cinema. And rightly so, because the film incorporates comedy by injecting exaggerations as seen in the manner by which the Bayag family acts. However, there is a lot to unpack from this movie because of the intricate interplay of the characters' relationships, which highlight the dynamic of a typical Filipino family. To delve into this movie, we will be looking at its plot, characters, setting, photography, editing, sound, production design, and social significance. As previously mentioned, the storyline of the film revolves around the Salazar family dynamics. The four sisters, who live very contrasting lives, are brought together by the news of the upcoming marriage of their youngest sibling. From here, the plot thickens because the siblings work hard to stop the marriage, all while handling their own personal differences. A major asset of this plot was the fact that it was highly realistic because it incorporates the typical Filipino norms of pamamanhikan, sitting together and talking about family matters over dinner, not to mention with the mother and the man of the family seated at the cabecera, as well as the issues of cheating and romantic relationships. Because of this, the plot becomes relatable to the audience. The characters of the film, particularly the four sisters, have very dynamic personalities that are evident in the way they speak and act. For instance, Bobby carries herself in a way that is sophisticated and always put together, a stark contrast to the character of Alex, who seems to be more laid back and carefree. CJ, being the youngest sibling, is portrayed to be young, charming, and naive, while Teddy acts with superiority as a result of being the eldest child. In a way, the film portrays multiple instances of binary opposition to show the contrast between the siblings. The film was generally set in the modern times, and although there were multiple places where the scenes were shot, the general setting of the film focuses on the family home, which represents the bond of the siblings from when they were younger up until present. It also alludes to their dynamic as children, as seen in the fact that the sisters would often gather in the comedor or kitchen dining room to convene and talk about various things. Again, this is parallel to the Filipino norms heavily ingrained in the film because the structure of the house, its architecture, furniture, and overall vibe was that of a traditional Filipino house with Spanish influences in its architecture. The photography aspect of the film did not vary much. For instance, the aspect ratio of the film remained wide in its entirety. However, the color of the film was generally warm, which gave a sense of togetherness. This is appropriate because the movie was actually marketed to be family appropriate. The editing and sound of the film focused more on the dialogue instead of the ambient sounds. In terms of transitions, the most notable part would be the phone call between the sisters prior to their coming home for CJ's wedding. Not only did the montage introduce the characters, it also juxtaposed the different lives every sister lived. The scene's transitions gave a busy yet disrupting feel, further highlighting the fact that the news of CJ's wedding was the catalyst of the story. The production design of the movie was in accordance to how the characters were portrayed. For instance, the fact that Bobby was portrayed to be the rich, always put together, and sometimes cold character reflected in the way she dressed up. On the other hand, the Bayag family, who was cartoonishly portrayed as nouveau riche, reflected this characteristic in their makeup and flashy outfits. The film's social relevance, although not very apparent due to its comedic nature, all boils down to the necessity of interpersonal relationships. The film highlights the need for respect among family members, romantic partners, and even strangers. Furthermore, the film features strong women who personify the human capability of setting aside differences for our loved ones. Finally, the film also shows the disparity between social classes that is evident in society at present.